So I just finished the job that I was very nervous about causing some power lines to get knocked down by a tree. And I wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not, but I had success, and this is the story of that particular job. So sit back and enjoy. So this is the tree that I'm wanting to cut down. You can see it is near a power pole, which is to the right there. And it's tilted a little bit towards the pole, and I want it to go that way. So let's take a look. We'll get a little bit closer. A lot of dead branches. This was taken down by the bark beetle here in the Sierras, which killed over 100 million trees. And it's luckily this is the only one it's gotten of mine so far. And I have another ponderosa right there next to it that's doing fine so far. So let's just hope. So my line of sight, where I want it to fall, you can see I've got a little oak tree to the right. I've got a big oak tree to the left. And so that's the direction I want to go, right over that rock. And my line of sight is what I'm thinking of is right there. So I'm not sure what's going to happen when it hits it. As long as it head that direction, I think it's fine. If it rolls off, at that point it'll be nearly horizontal by the time it hits there. It'll only be maybe slightly uphill. And hopefully it'll land right in between those rocks. And I already line-sighted it as far as how far it'll go, and the top of it will be right at about the middle of that back rock, which is fine. So what I'll do is I'll use these sight markers, and that'll point exactly to where I want the tree to fall, and then I'll hold my hand right on this spot here, and that will create the angle when I have this straight up like that for the direction that I want to cut my face cut. And then I'll come from the bottom, I'll take this top part and I'll come back the other way, and that'll give me a big nice 70-degree or more open face like this, and it'll be pointed straight to the direction I want to go. I'm then going to bore into the center, and I'm going to create my my hinge. And it's very important that you get this just right, otherwise the tree can do all sorts of things. And it'll still be safe because it'll still have its meat heartwood back here to keep it from falling, and it'll still have some heartwood here at the hinge. And when it's all said and done, you'll be able to see what I've done. But for now, I'm going to set it up, and we'll get back to it. So I wasn't real comfortable about the angle, so I put in a rope, and I come along it, and I actually have pulled the tree almost a little bit more vertical, so now I feel a little bit more comfortable about cutting it and not landing that direction. So this should hold it up. We shall see. So it's right smack in the middle of that rock, exactly where I was aiming. So I feel pretty good about that. Now all I have to do is clean it up. Notice how it snapped right where the pressure of the rock stopped it. Actually, it snapped twice. Just shows you how weak that tree was. But it's safe. It's down, yay. And a special shout out to my son Charlie, who was very kind in providing me with this very nice axe and some wedges for Christmas this last year, and they came in handy. Thanks, Charlie. And here it is all stacked up. Doesn't really make that big of a stack now, does it? But one thing that I am a little bit encouraged about is the fact that there's not a lot of blue bark, which is part of what a bark beetle does, is it turns the wood blue. There are some areas, like you can see it on this one. So yes, it was bark beetle, but I have a feeling it was just as much just the fact that we had been part of a 5-year drought prior to the bark beetle infestation. So this one being right next to the rock maybe just didn't get much water, and then the bark beetles did it in. But not as much as I was expecting. I had some wood last year that I got out in the forest that definitely was just saturated with the blueness. So the last thing I wanted to show you was my my cut, and the reason why that thing hung up while it was partially down, and it's because of where I cut my hinge cut. You see here, this is where my 70-degree angle was. It was probably the apex of that was up here, and I have my my hinge cut below that, and so as this came up, this was holding it together. If I had started with a higher cut above the apex, then it would have just continued down, and this would have worked the way it was supposed to. So I was lucky I probably had that rope on there. Otherwise, it may have gone back the other way. So what the professionals call this is a homeowner cut, meaning I don't know what I'm doing. And so that shows it. Luckily for me, it did go the right way. So just always be careful with what you do. And what I do is just go on YouTube and do as best I can, learn as much as I can, and hopefully I don't end up putting a tree through my house. So far, so good. And here she is all cleaned up, and as you can see, she definitely was living amongst the rocks, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that it just didn't get enough water with all this granite all over the place. And but nice clean bottom, and shouldn't cause me any tripping, and we'll just let it rot as it sits.